Get ready to go behind the music today. Hudson James is sitting down with the legendary songwriter and singer Joni Harms. They're taking a deep dive into the stories behind her biggest hits, her time as a Nashville staff writer, and all the wisdom she's got to share. This is a rare glimpse into the heart of a country music icon, so settle in and get ready.
Well, Joni, let's dive right in. I've always wondered, was there a defining moment when you knew music was going to be your life?
Well, there were a couple of them, Hudson. The first one, I think, was when I was 5 years old, and Mom and Dad took me up to the 4th of July rodeo in Molalla, Oregon, the Molalla Buckaroo, and I sang. I think I mentioned this briefly the other day, that my aunt had a big house, and so a lot of the cowboys that were in the rodeo participating would stay there, and just because there was no hotel. And so I sang "I Want to Be a Cowboy's Sweetheart" and "Ragtime Cowboy Joe" for these cowboys, and they all dug in their pockets and gave me some, I don't know, 50 cents or whatever for that. And I thought, I remember just thinking how neat is this, that I can sing and make people happy and get paid for it. So, I was kind of then, and then when I was Future Farmers of America, FFA, my junior year, I went back to the Future Farmers of America convention in Kansas City, and I met some other Future Farm guys, FFA guys, that one of them played bass, one of them played steel guitar, one of them played drums. They had a little band from Hobson, New Mexico, and then the steel guitar player was from Michigan. And we all got together, and then I had written a song called, what was it? Cowgirl, it was definitely a farm girl song. I'll come up with the name of it here in a while, but I sang that to all these 5,000 or more FFA kids that were there in the audience, and got a standing ovation. And I mean, there was no feeling like I had ever felt before that. I mean, that was like, oh my goodness, this is what I am put on this earth to do.
That's amazing. When you were building your career in the early years, was there a specific artist or group that inspired you the most?
Well, I had several, but I really, I remember one of the very first live concerts I got to go to was Emmylou Harris. And I was probably 15, 16 years old. And I remember the hot band, of course, was just unbelievable. But midway through the show, she came out, they had taken just a little break, and she came back out with just that black Gibson guitar and sang a couple of songs without the band. And I thought, wow. Yes, she sounds absolutely unbelievable with the band, but when it's somebody that can really play and sing and, really have a story to tell, stay on pitch, you can sound every bit as wonderful without the band. And I thought, I'm going to do that even when I have my band. I'm gonna still do some shows by myself. And there's a song I wrote called "I Want to Sing for You." Long time ago, but it still just lets the audience know how much I appreciate them. And it really has a bigger effect if I just do it with my guitar and without the band. So that was one of the ones that certainly had a big influence on me. Dolly with "The Coat of Many Colors," loved that song so much. I played it over and over and over, and of course learned it. But I just really tried to figure out what was it about that song that made me say, I got to listen to that again. It just touches my heart, and the way it tells such a story. And I just thought that if I could ever write a song like that, I would have really accomplished something, because that really touches people with what she's saying there. So those two, Merle Haggard, of course, a lot of different, George Strait, lots of different folks, but pretty much I can say classic country. That was always my go-to. It was the real country music with lots of fiddle and steel and that type of sound.
She could see herself sewing on that brand new machine as she took the time to look through that mail order magazine. It would sure make her life easier with all she has to do, but family needs come first. She'll have to wait a year or two. And it came from Sears and Roebuck, 1,000 pages long, everything from A to Z anyone could ever want. But putting away a little extra ain't as easy as it seems. So way out here we dream catalog dreams. Dad came in from working, tired as a dog. He sat down by the fire and picked up that catalog. His eyes fell on the tractor with the mow and arm and rake, but he knew that kind of money was more than he could ever make. But it came from Sears and Roebuck, 1,000 pages long, everything from A to Z anyone could ever want. But putting away a little extra ain't as easy as it seems. So way out here we dream catalog dreams. When supper time was over, Daddy turned to me and said, "You wanna do a little dream and take that catalog to bed?" Up there in the quiet, laying all alone, I stumbled on a page, started a dream all of my own. 'Cause if I could learn to play on that silver tone guitar, maybe make a record and one day be a star. Daddy'd have his tractor and Mom her new machine. I'd buy him all of their catalog dreams. I'm gonna buy them all of their catalog dreams.
Yeah, and isn't Emmylou really talented? I saw her one time when she was with the trio. Your music carries such a strong sense of that classic, timeless country. How do you still do that, but try to keep it fresh?
Oh, well, there's always new stories to tell and new ways of saying pretty much something that's already been said. You know, I mean, you could be totally intimidated by saying, well, you know, country music has been around so long, or it's pretty much covered every topic. But there's always another way of saying maybe the same thing with a different style of tempo or story to be told with it. And my favorite thing to do is really to take something somebody has said, or see a situation, or maybe even be challenged with writing a story about a certain person. Like I've got a few of those. I've got Bill Starr that's about her wild, you know, cowgirl career. And then I recently wrote a song about Merle.
Born in 1937, he grew up in an old boxcar. Who'd think a lonesome fugitive would make it very far? With a jail cell for a schoolhouse and an old six-string guitar, somehow this branded man became a country star. He was a Yogi from Muskogee, and he sang his songs with pride. We all stood right beside him, walking on the fighting side. I'll bet he never knew it. He broke ground and led the way for so many of us in the music industry today. No one could write a song the way could, Merle. Songs that folks could understand all around the world. Some would make us laugh, some would make us cry. They'll be sung forever, country heroes never die. I'll bet he's up in heaven, wearing silver wings. That velvet voice is singing, bending guitar strings. And I'll bet a choir of angels are there to welcome you. And Hank and George and Johnny are standing right there too. No one could write a song the way that you could, Merle. Songs that folks could understand all around the world. Some would make us laugh, some would make us cry. They'll be sung forever, country heroes never die. Oh, no one could write a song the way that you could, Merle. Songs that folks could understand all around the world. Some would make us laugh, some would make us cry. They'll be sung forever, country heroes never die. Oh, they'll be sung forever. Merle Haggard, your songs will never die.
After he passed, I wrote a song kind of telling his story and put it on my latest album, Lucky 13. And, it's just there's always new ways to tell things, and story songs truly are my favorite. I really, really like to share a story with some wonderful music behind it. And that funny thing is, I remember when Mr. Bowen, Jimmy Bowen, signed me to Capitol Records, Universal Records. He said, play me 5 or 6 songs that you've written, Joey. And I played, I think darn near every one of them was a ballad. And he said, you like to write ballads and story songs, don't you? And I said, I sure do. He said, well, one thing I'll tell you, he said that you definitely have a knack for that. But he said, I will tell you that, like, when you get ready to record your album, you're going to need to take people up and then back down and make the ride through the 10, 12 songs that you play on this album something that's going to be a toe tapper and then touch their heart. And so that by the time that album finishes playing, people are going to say, man, I really enjoyed that. I want to play it again, rather than just ballad after ballad or something. You can't do that. But so I always remembered that, and I've tried to carry that through every album I've recorded.
What an amazing career. Let's talk about one of my favorite songs of yours, Cowboy Up. It's become such an anthem. How did that song come about? And did you ever anticipate it becoming the hit that it truly is?
Thank you. Well, that was just a rodeo term. And of course, I told you that I started out being part of rodeos at 5 years old. And it was just something, the announcer or even the cowboys themselves would say to each other, got a cowboy up. And I always kind of carried that, because it doesn't necessarily just mean get back on a bucking horse. It means, whatever, you lose your job, you have a bad day, you go to a singing gig and you don't feel very good. What do? You cowboy up and do it anyway. And so, it's just a term that I had carried with me, and I got with my good co-writing friend, Whit Newton, out of Nashville, and we were talking about songwriting ideas one day, and I just told him that, and we wrote it in an hour or so, and it has done a lot of good things for me. That song, I first recorded it on my Let's Put the Western Back in the Country CD, and then it got used in a movie called Adventures of Pepper and Paula, which is kind of a Disney-type movie about a little cowgirl and her horse and her dog go on these adventures. And then I did a video on Cowboy Up in Widgie, Australia, in a little rodeo arena over there. And then my good friend that I was blessed to be able to go out and do several shows with Chris Ledoux. Also knew him through rodeo days, but also we were both on Capitol Records. And so we did some shows together, kind of the cowboy and the cowgirl, if you will. And he ended up recording Cowboy Up, and it was his last single before he passed out on country radio.
Such a sad story.
Yes, it is. But I have the wonderful, and we all have the wonderful memory of his music lives on, certainly. And so, you cowboy up and know that he's in a better place, and we still can listen to his music. And now his son is carrying on. Ned, do you know Ned?
I don't know about that, no.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. He goes out and does a lot of live shows, including his dad's music. So
now maybe you can sing that song for us?
Absolutely.
He was a new kid on the circuit, gold buckles in his eyes. The horse he drew was plenty rank, much to his surprise. He did a double backflip, landed on his head. And this old cowboy lived out in the ring, looked over him and said, "Better cowboy up when you get thrown down. Get right back in the saddle as soon as you hit the ground. You've heard that the tough get going when the going gets tough. Around here all we say is, son, you better cowboy up." By the end of last season, he said he was among the best. So he proudly called the girl back home, hoping she would be impressed. But her mama said she married a guy he used to call his friend. And before the first tear could fall, the words came back again. Better cowboy up when you get thrown down. Get right back in the saddle as soon as you hit the ground. You've heard that the tough get going when the going gets tough. Around here all we say is, son, you better cowboy up. Well, it's not an easy lesson, learning life and love, but it's the only way to go. Whenever you bite the dust, you better cowboy up when you get thrown down. Get right back in the saddle as soon as you hit the ground. You've heard that the tough get going when the going gets tough. Around here all we say is, son, you better cowboy up. Yeah, you better cowboy up. Everybody cowboy up.
I was a new kid on the circuit, gold buckles in my eyes. But the horse I drew was plenty rank, and much to my surprise, I did a double backflip and landed on my head. This old cowboy lived right in the arena, leaned over me and said, "You got a cowboy up when you get thrown down. Get right back in the saddle as soon as you hit the ground. You've heard that the tough get going when the going gets tough. Around here what we say is, oh, you better cowboy up." By the end of my last season, they said it was among the best. So I proudly called the girl back home, hoping she would be impressed. But her mama said she married a guy that I used to call my friend. But before the first tear could fall, these words came back again. You gotta cowboy up when you get thrown down, and get right back in the saddle as soon as you hit the ground. You've heard that the tough get going when the going gets tough. Around here what we say is, oh, you better cowboy up. Well, it's not an easy lesson to learn in life and love, but it's the only way to go whenever you find the dust. You gotta cowboy up when you get thrown down. Get right back in the saddle as soon as you hit the ground. You've heard that the tough get going when the going gets tough. Oh, out here what we say is, oh, you better cowboy up. Oh, out here what we say is, oh, you better cowboy up.
Another one I have to ask about is I Need a Wife. Such a witty and fun song. How'd that idea ever come to you?
Well, the funny part about that song is that Mr. Bowen had brought a song to me that he was sure was a smash hit, and it was a song called Men that the Forrester sisters later recorded and had a hit with. And I was not overly fond of that song, but I recorded it anyway at his request. And he said, you know, let's just take a look at several different songs at the end when we collect 10 or 12 that we put on the album. And he said, because there'll only be one novelty song that goes on that album. Because a few minutes ago, you need a little bit of everything to make your listener really like all the different varieties of the songs you put out. And I was kind of new to co-writing. I had done the majority of writing by myself. And so I was a little intimidated when I went in for the very first time to write with a guy by the name of Dan Tyler, who had written just so many hit songs for the Oak Ridge Boys and Kenny Rogers, and the list goes on. And anyway, we were just kind of getting acquainted. And I said, he said, how are you doing with spending so much time in Nashville and doing all the things that are required of, you know, you have the ranch, you have this, and we travel to do your gigs. And I said, well, one of my has a child and has been doing all this stuff since she got married, said I need a wife. And he said, well, there it is. I love that. He said, let's write that. And so we did, and I later took it in and played it for Jimmy Bowen, and he said, your prayers are answered. I like this better than Men for you to record, so let's record I Need a Wife. And it was my first single out on country radio, 22 on Billboard charts. And the only thing was some of the DJs didn't pay it enough of attention, and I think, you know, took it the wrong way, and which is so silly because it's absolutely, you know, just about me saying I got so much on my plate that I need somebody to help me. But anyway, it still did pretty darn good, and it's still a fun song to play, and a lot of ladies come up to me and say that's still their anthem.
Amazing. Now, one last song I wanted to ask you about. Let's put the Western back into country.
It's such a long title for a song. Yes, absolutely. It's a song that kind of near and dear to my heart, because the more country music got pop, and that's kind of what happened shortly after I had my record deal with Capitol and Universal. It just seemed like it started to lose a lot of the steel and the fiddle and just the real country classic sound. And so again, my friend Wood Newton, he and Hobo Jim Verhulst were two of my go-to favorite writers. And anyway, I was telling him, I said that I just miss the real country music of, it's too bad we just can't put the Western back in the country. And so there we said, okay, there's our title. And we wrote that, and it is a song I do at almost every show, because it just really does say that I think my style, I need to do my part in keeping that part of country music and country and Western music alive, because it needs to be there for those of us that still love it.
Absolutely.
They used to call it country and Western. Could someone tell me where the Western went? Did it stray from the herd like some poor doggy that wound up tangled in a barbed wire fence? Was it traveling on a stage out of Denver that never made it into Santa Fe? Was it riding on a train held up by Jesse James, who took the gold and made it get away? Let's put the Western back in the country. Hello out there, we're still here. We ain't dropped off in the ocean, not yet. Rode off in the sun and disappeared. Let's put the Western back in the country. You can either sing along or lend an ear. Well, partner, it's your choice. I want you to listen to the voice of the sons and daughters of the pioneers. On the sunset side of the mountains, where the waters all run the other way, coyotes howl in the moonlight. We're up with the sun by break of day. If you ever get a glimpse of the glory, well, I know you'll never be the same. So back up to the fire with a warm cup of coffee. I know you'll feel at home on the range. Let's put the Western back in the country. Hello out there, we're still here. We ain't dropped off in the ocean, not yet. Rode off in the sun and disappeared. Let's put the Western back in the country. You can either sing along or lend an ear. Well, partner, it's your choice. I want you to listen to the voice of the sons and daughters of the pioneers. Whoopie-tie, 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 whoopie-tie.
Now, would you like to discuss some of your achievements, your recognition that you've had in Western music?
I do this because it's what I believe God put me on this earth to do. I love singing and songwriting and sharing my music with folks and traveling to places, meeting people I never otherwise would have. And I'm very proud of the awards and accomplishments that I have been able to do. But, I would be doing this anyway. They are certainly a nice feeling to get maybe somebody saying, I really like that song, or that you have really worked hard. You deserve Entertainer of the Year, whatever. But it really has no, that's really no part of why I do it. That's really, as we talked about before too, the money. It's great that I can get paid for something that I love to do, but I am pretty stubborn on wanting to do it my way and my kind of songs and my kind of sound. And, it wouldn't be worth a lot of money for me to record a song that wasn't my style, even if I was guaranteed it was going to make me a lot of money. I'm the one that has to get out and sing it time after time. And just like we were talking about with Chris Ledoux's music, after I'm gone, I'll have a string of music that I'm leaving behind, and I want it to be songs I'm very proud of and want people to continue to listen to. So it's really not about awards, money, or anything else. It's about having the wonderful ability and opportunity to get out and play music for people.
Thank you so much for sharing some insight about who you truly are. Amazing. You have any projects outside of music that you work on?
Absolutely. I mean, we have a farm here, a ranch. I don't know, you can call it either one, that's been in my family for 150 years now. So my great-great-grandfather homesteaded our little spot in Canby, Oregon in 1872. And I'm very proud of this place. In fact, right now I am working on preserving a barn that was built in the 1870s. It's just amazing to me how those guys were able to build a structure like this without very much equipment, just a team of horses and hard work. And my dream is to make it so that I can have some little mini concerts in there and let people see what kind of a old building, how if it's done right, it's still strong. The bones of that barn are so good and beautiful. And so, yeah, that's kind of a little passion of mine right now. But we still have a working ranch, and that's a big passion of mine too. It's just the whole Western lifestyle.
Very cool. Now, on your albums, you just recently released one, or you're about to release one?
Well, it's a funny thing about that right now. I'm still trying to decide because CDs are kind of becoming a thing of the past. Most automobiles and, even sound systems in the house don't have a CD player anymore. And so I released a couple of songs just out on social media so that people can download them and hear them that way. And downloads seem to be really kind of the way things are going right now. But I don't know. I'm watching closely to see what's happening with the vinyl, and if there does end up being another way where it makes sense to do another album. I certainly personally love to have something I can hold in my hand, look at the pictures. Almost every CD that I've done, I've put the lyrics on there since I write most of them. It's really important to me that people can understand and read and see the lyrics, read the lyrics, and see who the players were. In case, I don't know, sometimes I've said, oh, I just love the way that guy's playing the steel on this particular album. And so then I can go to a CD, I can go to the musicians, I can look it up and say, oh, that was Paul Franklin or whatever. And, without having that kind of a tool in your hand, you're really kind of just at the mercy of trying to do some major research. Because if you just download your music, you can't do any of those things. So I don't know. My latest album was Lucky 13, and that's been a couple of years ago now. And I'm just still trying to decide. I've got a lot more songs that I've written and want to record. So something will be in the works here soon. I'm just not sure how I'm going to put it out there.
Yeah, it is kind of unfortunate, at least for me. I guess I'm no spring chicken, but I'm used to having a CD collection, having the shelf with them on it. You can go grab it, look at it. I'm much more on actual CDs.
Same, that's absolutely. And I don't know. I mean, maybe there'll be another format that will come out that's something similar to that. I mean, I guess we go back way back in the day, it was the 8-track, the vinyl, and then the CD. And so maybe there's still something that will come out for those of us that do like to have something that we can just go get off the shelf. But I don't know what I will say this though. I'm really glad that the majority of the years that I've been in this business, there's been something like that. I'm glad that I, was able to live through the CD era if you will, so that because it's fun also to just have some merch for people after shows. Come up and I'll sign this for you, and you take it home, and then you've got the concert to be almost play all over again on your drive home in your car if you want.
Now, you just brought up a really good topic. Are you planning on going back on a big tour?
Well, I definitely will be going here and there. I mean, I haven't done as much overseas touring as I did before COVID. I mean, I'd go a couple times, maybe 3 times a year, different countries, and just thoroughly enjoyed that, because it's amazing to me how many people in other countries really love classic country. I mean, classic country. They like the real deal and the stories about what it might be like to live on a ranch, and the clothes. They love the Western clothes. It's really rewarding and fun to do that. So I really am kind of looking into trying to make something like that happen again. But I stay very busy with rodeos and corporate events and conventions and, just concerts here and there, going on little mini tours here or there. And so I don't have any thoughts of really slowing down. I'm maybe a little more particular than I used to be. But I feel really blessed and thrilled that I keep having people ask if I'd like to come play here or there. And as long as they do that and it makes sense, I'll be going.
Okay. Sounds good. Now we know you're a very faith-driven person. What role has your faith played in your journey as a musician?
The right track, and maybe for some people, maybe they would say it wasn't the right track, because I know that I felt anyway that I was led to stay true to the kind of music that I love and feel has good messages for people and things like that, and that was the biggest decision in kind of not going farther with some of the trends that were happening in country music when I was first signed to labels. And, I wondered a time or two whether that was the right decision, because maybe I would be farther up the ladder had I done that. And I pretty much always come back to the fact that, no, this was the plan that was for me. And because the people that are fans of mine are as true blue as they come. They know when they get an album of mine what they're going to get. I mean, different songs and tempos and all that, of course, but pretty much the same style of music, and not too many big surprises. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she recorded that. And, been able to write my own songs. I was signed by Par Music Group first, by Jimmy Bowen. Then I wrote for Anne Murray's publishing company for several years. Then I wrote for Charlie Daniels' publishing company. And, even when they would say, well, Reba McEntire is looking for this type of up-tempo song to record, because, there are artists, like, I don't think she's written very many of her songs. So then that's what publishing companies do, is they have a scout go out and find out who's recording next and what kind of song they're looking for. And so then they would come back but we'd be told as staff writers there that, we need to write something for Reba or for whoever, not just Reba, it's just an example. But, I always wrote from my heart, and it was important to me that I would record this. So I'm going to write it, and we can throw it out there. And if somebody else likes it and records it, wonderful. If not, it's still got my name on it. And so I need to be proud of this song, So, and I've got a gospel album, a Christmas album. Almost every single one of my 14 albums have at least one faith-driven song. But the fun thing that I like to do is not necessarily talk about God in it. It just has a message in it that will be a good message for you. But it isn't preaching by any means to you. It's just a little song that might make you think a little bit about what's most important in life. So I'm proud of the string of music that I've put out there, and just having those grounded roots. I think because there's so many temptations in the music industry, that knowing who you are, and not being afraid to say no to certain things. I know that I have my faith to thank for that.
Really an amazing thing. Unfortunately, a lot of people do kind of, well, they do what they have to do to get what they want, I suppose.
Well, that is greed. I mean, you think that you gotta make more money, and that isn't necessarily what gets you happiness.
Now, more of a final question here. Did you have any? What's your most memorable collaboration or duet?
Well, I mentioned Jim Verhulst, we wrote for Anne Murray together. That's how we met. We were both staff writers at Anne Murray's publishing company, and we wrote Catalog Dreams together, which is one of my most favorite songs. I was talking a little earlier about Dolly Parton, Coat of Many Colors song, and if I could ever write anything that touched people like that song did. And I have had quite a few people tell me that Catalog Dreams has really made a difference. They just felt that song so much and remembered what it was like to not really have a lot of money, but just have your little catalog dreams. That's Faith off my gospel album is one that a lot of people have said, that song has really helped me through a lot of situations, which is just music to my ears, so to speak, no pun intended. It just makes me feel so happy, about that. But yeah, I think that writing that song with Jim was very rewarding. There's so many collaborations. I've only done one duet, and that was on my Live from Ireland album with Danny Sheeran and the Sheeran Family Band, and I really love that song. But I just mostly have done sang with a lot of different people. But only one duet so far. You notice I say maybe you and I can do one.
Sure. That'd be a true honor.
Me too.
Well, thank you. Well, Joni, I thank you so much for spending time and taking a time out of your day to share all these wonderful stories.
Absolutely. And in addition to that, as I was just wrapping that up on duets, can I throw one more thing out there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, my favorite duet partner is my daughter Olivia, of course, and we have an album out that's called, Our Favorites, and it's classic country that has influenced our lives. And funny story for Olivia, how important it is, and how much she and Luke, both her brother and her, have traveled with me through the years. Olivia was due to be born. And I had a show at the Portland Speedway coming up, and it was going to be on June 15th. I was going to be with Ricky Skaggs, Clint Black, the list goes on and on. And so I went into the doctor and I said, Doc, I got to make sure that I have this baby in time to go out to this show. And so he said, okay, Joni, if you haven't had the baby by the 13th of June, come on in. So the 13th of June rolled around. Went into the hospital and got checked into room 13. So in the hospital on June 13, in room 13, and Olivia arrived at 1:13, which military time is 13:13, right? Obviously, that's my lucky number. And I took her to the show on the 15th with me, brought her out on stage, and she's pretty much been traveling with me ever since. So yeah, she's definitely my go-to favorite person to sing with, and does wonderful harmony with me, and I've been able to be singing harmony on her albums, and so certainly she would be my favorite singing partner.
Amazing. Again, thank you so much for sharing all of these wonderful stories.
A pleasure.
And thanks for taking the time out of your day.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Hudson, and I look forward to have an opportunity to do some musical events with you.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that too. It'll be a lot of good fun.
Oh, for sure.
Now that's what I call a masterclass in country music. Joni Harms is a true treasure, and we're so grateful she shared her stories with us. If you loved what you heard, give her a follow on all the socials and do the same for our host, Hudson James. Subscribe to this podcast for more incredible conversations with your favorite country artists. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next time.